Alright, in our last tutorial, we learned how to make a random ship flying around. Not random, but the ship showed up, there's a player ship, and to scroll across the screen. Now, we want to be able to make an enemy NPC that does the same thing and flies kind of randomly. So there's a couple things we need to do to make that happen. What we're going to do first is make sure that you have gone and gotten your ship scrolling. And the ship scrolling, again, just as a reminder, contains an always and some extractors that determine where it is, and if it's out of bounds, resets its position according to your game's screen size. So the 448 is based on 32 pixels by I think 14 frames wide. If yours is bigger, then multiply differently and get different results. But we're going to use this. We're going to make sure that we've made that into a behavior bundle, and then make sure that you've got that saved in your behavior bundles menu, so that way you can open it up anywhere you want, use it again all the time, because we're going to make this get used again. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make an object that's going to create random enemies. So we're going to click on create here, and this is going to be dependent upon the use of a random number. So that's our big thing today, is random numbers. So this we make this called ship gen. Let's see, what should I make this look like? I want to make sure it makes it look like something I can use. I think I'm just going to make it in a big S. So something like this looks like it might be an S. It's not great, but its only job is to remind me what it is. It's not necessarily that big of a deal that it looks great. Because good thing, because it doesn't. I hear what you're saying. Let's see. Let me just. Sure, that'll work. So again, it doesn't matter what it looks like. So what we're going to use some random timings. Now, last time we've learned how to make a clock this week. This clock will be slightly different because we're going to use an actual timer. So the timer is going to say once in a while, check to see if it's time to make a new ship. And to find that out, we're going to use a logic and math piece called random. So randoms are a big deal for the day. So we have new, minimum, maximum. You can reset these values, and if you open this up and go, what is this? And say help, it tells us the minimum, the maximum, the inputs. So when it generates a new number, and you can change the minimums and maximums every time you reset it. So you can use all kinds of inputs, or just keep it simple. So as we work our way through this, we're going to use the random to determine how often we should make this. Now, we like I said, we could pump numbers into this minimum, maximum through the inputs, or preset them inside here. So if I say minimum is going to be, say, 5, and the max is 20. Let's make this actually much bigger. So let's say we're going to get a number between. Okay, so we're going to use this number to determine if it's time to make a new enemy. So the random number is going to generate between 1 and 100, and we're going to find out if, like, a certain percentage of the time we're going to make an enemy from this. So we're going to do this. So by going from the timer to the out to the nil, it's going to generate a number. Now the timer is going to do this once in a while. So we set the delay to every 5 seconds, which is 50. And if we run this, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, it should pump out a number. And there it is. So it made a number. So what do we do with that number? We're going to put it out to a number. Now this test right here is just to test it. It's not going to get displayed anyway, so we're going to see that this works. So every 5 seconds it'll generate a new number. And it gets exported to there. So we want to use this, and you can actually get rid of that. That's just a test. So this is a test result. And so we're going to use this to determine with a filter if it's the right number and if it's time. So that doesn't go anywhere right there, although it could. So eventually we get rid of it. So the in on this filter is going to determine if it's the right number. So we're going to say less than, greater than. Somehow we're going to narrow the field and say once in a while. Let's say less than 5 for now. So 50% of the time. Later you're going to want to narrow that. But for testing purposes, we want it to show up fairly often. All right. So for our test, we're going to use this to generate something. So 50% of the time, we're going to use a spawn. And for now, we're going to set the X and Y to 100 by 100. So it'll be a random position. Later, we can randomize the spots by using a separate random generator to pump out an X and Y value. But for now, this is fine. So let's pass this to the spawner. Now we're going to get something to send out. So we're going to use this graphic I've set up for you. I'm just going to click this over here, create. We're going to name this enemy NPC or NPC1 or something like that. Okay, and we're going to upload the graphic I sent you. That's downloadable from the assignment, and there it is. So now inside this object, we should probably edit this, and we're going to go to behaviors. You may remember I said to make sure you have a behavior bundle for ship scrolling. Let's just add that in there. Now it doesn't actually move yet, so we're going to later generate some movement in it. So when it gets moving, it's going to drift across, change directions once in a while. Let's go ahead and make it move a little bit. So let's just, for fun, say triggers. We're going to say always. We're going to get a number. We're going to use the getter on this. Let's set the number to 4. And let's use a velocity property. Now let's just move this along the X for now. Well, later we're going to learn how to make this randomize its direction. So random numbers are a big deal. Let's see if that works. Click on there. So now it flies across the screen. And it comes back across. So a big deal of that was using the bundle, wasn't it? It's the reusable bundle. So when we generate this random object here, we're going to spawn that enemy NPC. There it is. So once in a while it's going to generate a new one. So we can actually take that off the screen here because it's still in our library. Alright, so if we run this, I feel like something weird happened there. It must have generated one right off the bat. Okay, so once in a while it makes one. Apparently it's not doing it, so we want to test this. To really test it, you want to open this up and move that out of the way, or down or something, and then run it. So we're checking. Okay, so generate one right off the bat. Now what's probably missing is the repeating forever, so it's making one. So 50% of the time. So half the time it's generating new ones. So if you want to change that value to make it show up less often, then you reduce the number. So now it's got a smaller chance of generating an enemy. Okay, so you can use the same thing to set the timing on generating one, and eventually you can use this to create boss objects. So let's see, doing a new number 7. Let's give them another new number. Somehow it's generating more than we think they should. Oh, it's still got the same 2. That's why. It keeps looking like they keep showing up. It's the same couple of them. So we could set up a switch to make it stop generating them as we go, but now it's got 3. Could eventually add 4. Every time it generates one, so it's actually not making new ones. It's using the same 3 or 4 that's made the whole time. So that's how you make this work, and I'll see you in class.